to our special space where once again we are ready for a dose of togetherness. Cannot wait for today. Really feeling grateful for our special guest and for all of you and for what we're about to experience. Looking for some hope and some inspiration. Had a fabulous conversation yesterday listening to Larry Brilliant, the CNN anchor and epidemiologist, that really put in stark terms what we're in for, but also provided some hope about the future as well. And just feeling like it reinforced even more so why this conversation that we're having together is so nice, that this is what we're going to be doing for a while. So it's good you're here with us today. So yes, welcome to Wednesday's Dose of Togetherness. If you want to hop in the chat and share where you're calling in from, and maybe some I don't want to get too ahead of ourselves, but maybe some small recent change that you've experienced in your life. It's just maybe a small one. What's a small shift? Just curious if there's any small shifts that have taken place. Welcome in Ontario and New York, Connecticut. The Eastern Seaboard is representing quite strong. And then we have Mendocino. Welcome, everyone. These are some great shifts I'm hearing, by the way. Or I'm not hearing them, I'm reading them in my brain. But now I'm going to say them out loud. Listening more, that's big. Waking up 30 minutes earlier to appreciate the quiet mornings. Consistent long walks with my husband. These are fabulous. If you're just joining us, please share where you're calling in from and say hello. So nice to see everyone here today on this Wednesday. Scrolling through the folks on the call, and I'm seeing so many fabulous familiar faces and some new folks as well. Thank you for being here. And as we get going, keep introducing yourself in the chat. And just to say, yes, it is Wednesday, the middle of the week. Welcome to Wednesday's Dose of Togetherness. We are very excited to have you here once again for some meaningful conversation around topics that are both can be challenging, but they're really positive. That's what we're doing as an organization. My name is Brad Wolf, the founder and executive director of Reimagine. We focus as a nonprofit on some of the bigger existential challenges that we face as humans, really thinking about serious illness, dying, death, grief, and especially in these times, how do we face all those things? How do we face death, but also how do we embrace life? And that second piece is really the spirit with which we approach all those first pieces. So thanks for being here in that exploration. And thank you also to the Greater Good Science Center at UC Berkeley for helping kickstart this fabulous series together. I also want to thank our festival sponsors. As you know, that this Dose of Togetherness is now part of our ongoing worldwide virtual festival, Reimagine Life, Loss, and Love during COVID-19. So we're gathering hundreds of events across the world right now to explore these themes in community. And this has really been the anchor of that entire experience. So thank you for being a part of what's at the center of everything we're trying to do and be about. There is my incredible colleague, Dara, who is not only teaching us how to use Zoom, but is also responsible for the incredible programming that you've been experiencing through these doses of togetherness. She is the woman behind the scenes making this all possible. So thanks to Dara for that. She's teaching us some things about asking comments and questions, which you figured out on the chat. Please keep your cameras on if you're able, and your mics off until the breakout sessions, which are coming up at the end of the end of our time together, which, as you know, is really quite the highlight to meet people from across the globe. Today, I feel extremely excited about our guest, Coby Kozlowski. She is the author of One Degree Revolution, How the Wisdom of Yoga Inspires Small Shifts That Lead to Big Changes. She's a senior faculty member rather, at Kripalu Center for Yoga and Health and at the Esalen Institute. She's been considered, I love this, one of the 7 yoga teachers who have changed the practice from the Yoga Journal. She was on the cover of Yoga Journal and Mantra Wellness. And so I've met her now, and I can say you are all in for a serious treat. So thank you, Coby, for being here with us. And without further ado, you're going to lead us both today in our inspiration and our grounding, and just excited to see what unfolds together.
What an honor to be here. And, in the few minutes that we got to chat before we hopped on this call, it felt like I was in the company of best friends. So I imagine that the people that you bring together, I imagine if we could just all unmute ourselves, it would be like, hey, I love you all already.
We'll do that at the end, and you'll see, you will totally feel that love.
I'm so grateful. So thank you. And, so interesting when you were talking, Brad, what came up for me was though I come from the lens of the, capital Y yoga world, for me, I'm not really interested whether people do downward facing dog kind of yoga or not. It's really about how do we live yoga, and everyone can live yoga. In the yoga tradition that I come from, we say that there's about 37 definitions of yoga. And the one that I lean into the most is that yoga is the practice of learning to tolerate the consequences of being ourselves, right? So to me, it's the sense of like, how do I fully show up as myself and at the same time tolerate the consequences of being myself for the sake of learning how to ride the waves of life more skillfully. Another definition of yoga that I love and live into is that yoga is about skillfully participating and engaging with life. And so what I love about what all of you are doing here, it really brings to the forefront this question of, this who am I if death is on my shoulder, right? Like, how am I going to show up? How am I going to skillfully participate? How am I going to engage? If literally death is like, I am on your shoulder. But if on the other shoulder, it says, hey, but what if you were to live forever? So the paradox becomes, how do I skillfully participate and engage with the waves of life, both with these two questions? If I were to live forever and if I were to die tomorrow, who do I want to be? How do I skillfully participate? How do I gauge? And how do I really live? Because who knows, unbeknownst to each and every one of us, we don't know when our final exhale is going to be. And so for me, it might be overused, but I really try to practice living into how can I savor today, because it truly was a gift that was given to me. And part of the practice of living yoga is, how do I celebrate this precious gift of life? How do I ride the waves of life with skill and grace? How do I participate? How do I engage? How do I tolerate the consequences of being myself? And how can I stay in the inquiry rather than always looking for answers? And, I often say, and I say in my book, that yoga is the practice of being in the inquiry and the experiment, that it's a path that provides 0 answers. And that's the good news, because what it does do is it can provide infinite inquiries and experiments. And for me, this conversation and the practices are really, can I stay open? Can I stay curious? Can I go into the portal and the doorway of what is truth? What is reality? How do I live? And, I talk about in my book, and the title of the book is One Degree Revolution. And I think for many of us, myself included, we can suffer or we can struggle because we can get caught up in what's the right way? What do I need to do? And if we can put that aside and say, how can I engage today? How can I participate today? And ask yourself or myself the question, where am I committing a crime against wisdom? So maybe just pause for a moment and just ask yourself that question right now. And later on in the breakout groups, it can be a place where we can discuss, but where are you committing a crime against wisdom? What does that mean to you? What comes up for you when you hear that question? Crime against wisdom could be staying up too late. It could be staying in a relationship that's toxic. It could be too many Zoom calls. It could be not enough time in nature, whatever it might be. But to get curious about, where am I committing a crime against wisdom? And then if yoga is about skillfully participating and engaging, then the next question is, well, what am I prepared to do about it? How can I create a 1-degree shift? How can I engage? How can I show up? How can I put myself into another experiment? Because transformation does not mean we need to shift everything in our lives. But to me, it's, okay, what is the one thing I can commit to, that I can bind myself to? And if I just shift the boat 1 degree, what's going to happen over a week, a month, a year, a lifetime? We're going to end up in a totally different place. And so, so much of the practice for me of living yoga is, can I dive into this practice? Can I show up again today? If I've been given the gift of another day, how do I want to show up today? How do I want to participate today? What's my 1-degree shift that I can do today? Where am I committing a crime against wisdom? What am I going to do about it for the sake of being able to see greater truth, experience reality in a more healthy, life-affirming way, why we've been given this chance? And so there's so many teachings. I wish, I was saying earlier, I wish we had 2 hours together. There's so many practices and inquiries that for me, I dive into. It's just like, let's keep going into the experiment. And I often say, like, I have no idea what anybody else should be doing. And anyone that says, like, this is the answer, this is the way, I always get a little bit nervous, and I'm like, I'm gonna run the other way, thanks. But one of my inquiries and experiments that I love to put myself in every day is this practice that's inspired by my teacher, Lauren Roche. And Brad, you got to connect with Lauren. He's a remarkable human being. And for those of you on the call today, definitely check him out. But Lauren, he's a meditation teacher, and he inspired this practice for me. And really, it is how I begin every day. I do it in bed when I wake up. So this myth and this idea that you need to get on your meditation cushion, you need to do all this movement, whatever, just I wake up, I lay in bed, I listen to the birds, and then I begin every day with this practice. So I invite you to try this on, and maybe this would be your 1-degree shift. This practice in itself could be the thing that could shift the course of your life. So find yourself for a moment coming into any comfortable position. And when I say that, if that means laying down right now, if you're like, I'm tired, many people are just tired, and the best practice you could do is practice napping, practice resting. And so if right now the most comfortable position is to lay down, please lay down. If you fall asleep, even better, even better. Use this 20 minutes to nap. So coming into any comfortable position, really settling into this moment in time and taking a clearing breath in through the nose. So that could be a deep breath in or a gentle breath in, and a long, slow exhale. Doing that 2 more times, full breath in, filling yourself, like this magic, this gift of breath. One more full cycle of breath, this unique breath that will never be here again. And then letting it all go. And arriving into this moment as best as you can. I'm going to guide you into a meditation where you're going to be saying some things to yourself. I'm going to offer some affirmations, some mantras, some things you can repeat to yourself. If it doesn't resonate, what I share, or if it doesn't pertain to you, just put it aside. Don't make yourself a victim to my words. Just choose words that serve you and make you feel more connected. So this meditation practice is called I Welcome. And it's simply a practice of being welcoming to all of yourself. Now, to be very clear, being welcoming to parts of yourself does not mean that we act from all parts of ourself. So I can be welcoming, like I would be welcoming to a guest to my home, but that doesn't mean I would let them come into my house and start breaking things, right? So there are places where we create a boundary with, like, this doesn't work. But I can still be welcoming, I can be friendly, but I also can have clear boundaries. You might find yourself in this meditation moving. So from the school of meditation that I come from, we celebrate the movement of life. We don't want to impose stillness. So we say everything in life is moving. So if you want to move, feel free to move. If you want to be still, be still. Let it be natural. So again, I'll offer you some words to say to yourself. If they don't resonate, make a shift. So begin by saying to yourself first, I welcome all of myself here. I welcome all of myself here. There might be some kind of gesture or movement. So for me, it might be something like bringing my arms up to the sky and let the hands wash over in front of me. I welcome all of myself here. I welcome all of myself here. For these next few minutes, we're going to go on a journey of being welcoming. I welcome my physical body. So you might find yourself touching your physical body, your arms, your legs, your belly. I welcome my physical body. So what is it to be welcoming? I welcome my breath. I welcome my breath. I welcome my mind and all of its curiosity, all of its thoughts. I welcome my mind. Again, there might be some gesture of being welcoming. I welcome the teacher that lives inside of me. I welcome the teacher that lives inside of me. I welcome the student that lives inside of me. I welcome the student. I welcome the part of me that doesn't want to be welcoming. I welcome the part of me that doesn't want to be welcoming. I welcome the wise elder that lives inside of me. I welcome the wise elder. I welcome my inner rebel, my inner teenager. I welcome my grief, my heartache, my sadness. I welcome my anger, my frustration. And again, there's a difference between being welcoming and acting from. I welcome the part of me that is kind and compassionate and thoughtful. I welcome the part of me that is judgmental and know-it-all-ish. I welcome the part of me that has a sense of knowing. I welcome the part of me that has no idea what is going on ever. I welcome my beauty. I welcome the part of me that feels at peace. I welcome my anxiety, my depression, my loneliness, my separation. I welcome the part of me that knows how to rest. I welcome my restlessness. So for the next few minutes, the next few moments, allow yourself to go on your own journey of welcoming different parts of yourself. Maybe parts of yourself you have not welcomed or been welcoming to in years. The part of you that may have been victimized or hurt or lonely or scared. The part of you that wants to celebrate your victories and your joys, whatever it might be. Go on your own inner journey. Move your body in any way. Welcome all these different parts of yourself. Be daring and courageous to welcome all of yourself here. What have you been ignoring? Welcome it here. What have you been hiding from? What else wants attention? To be tended to be seen. Can you welcome your confusion? Can you welcome your clarity? And taking another deep breath in through the nose. And exhaling with a big sigh, letting it all go. And then inhale, the arms reach up to the sky again, if that works for you. And then let the hands wash over you as you say to yourself, I welcome all of myself here. I welcome all of myself here. And bringing yourself back into this moment in time, allowing the eyes to open if they closed. So for me, this simple yet potent practice is how I try to begin my day, because if my 1 degree shift can begin with me being welcoming to all parts of myself, that I am learning just like everybody else how to be human, how to ride the waves of life with as much skill and grace as I possibly can, I'm a little more compassionate with everybody else. And I can truly recognize and I can reimagine how we can all be in this together, in the story together, rather than they are over there and they are over there and I don't understand them. I can start to look around at everybody and go, just like me, they're learning to welcome themselves. Just like me, they're learning to tolerate the consequences of being themselves. Just like me, they're learning to get comfortable being uncomfortable in the mystery of life with death on one shoulder and eternity on the other. So this practice, it becomes a gift to myself to recognize. In the yoga tradition, we talk about this idea that's called purnatva, which can translate as fullness or completion or perfection. And so often people get caught up in the word perfection, meaning goodness, and that's not what I'm talking about, but rather that this moment is full, it is complete. And at the exact same time, we are always evolving into a different perfection. And what I imagine that Brad and his amazing team of people are doing is it's reimagining can we see the perfection that's here, but can we also be inspired to evolve into our different perfection of what is around the corner, what is concealed to us that wants to be revealed. And to me, this practice in itself, it shifts the course of my day. It shifts the way I engage with myself. It's allowing myself to be more gentle with my humanness, and that I'm learning, and that we all have a story. Really, this whole time we could have just unmuted everyone and been like, so what's your story, Michaela? What's your story, Dan? What's your story, Sheila? What's your story, Mark? What's your story, Elena? And we could have just cried for 20 minutes, right? It's like we all have a story, and there comes a time when our story has to be the thing that we compost, right? To me, composting is the ultimate yoga. It's how do we take the shit in our life and turn it into something useful? And so I want to just say thank you for letting me come here and share for a few moments in time. I wish we had more time together, but ultimately I hope you can ask yourself the question, where am I committing a crime against wisdom? What's one small thing that I can do? What's one small shift that I could make today? How can I skillfully participate and engage and show up today and be in the experiment, be in the inquiry for the sake of whatever we can reimagine, whatever it is we can weave and loom together, because we are evolving into a different perfection. And whether we like it or not, we're doing it together. And so thank you so much. And thanks everyone for letting me share a few moments in a meditation that really is near and dear to my heart. I hope I see you somewhere down the river. And, but thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you.
Thank you, Coby. Everyone, thank Coby so much. Share, if you might share some gratitude or something you got from her chat in the chat window, that would be really wonderful. So we can send her home with the full heart from all of you. And just to say, I feel I have this motto: just one thing. What's the one thing that you can take away from something? Because there's so much information in our lives. And I got two things from you just now that I think that practice, for one, which was really, I think, powerful and interesting as well, and helpful. And then honestly, that line about composting at the end put a whole new twist on the times that I forget to compost.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll make sure that we compost.
I look to all my farmer friends and gardeners. I'm like, you know what it's about. It's composting. How do we take the shit and turn it into something useful when it's time, right? When it's time.